Hola Focalinos. This is now part deux, if you will, of the classic Garth Trinidad episode. Last week we re-released part one, and this week is part two. I rewound it a little bit so you could hear a little bit ahead of where we left off, so you know that we're talking about how he got started as a music supervisor for the HBO series Entourage. Let's get into it.
Like hits. And then Doug Ellen, who was the creator of the show, he would want to have like a classic rock song for the end credits. So that was like the Entourage formula,
Yeah.
So third season they're coming out of. Lori's like, you know what, we need to spend less money on the music, and we want more interesting music. Mm-hmm. We want like something more realistic, something more underground, something more raw. Like, we need to have some supervisors come in that can really plug us into like independent bands and like indie rock and like classic funk and like 90s hip hop, like just mix it up.
Yeah.
So Gary's like, you let me holler at Garth. Like, he and I could we could work that out for you. We could make it hot. And so Scott Venner was a consultant. Scott's a huge music supervisor now. And he was tight with Doug. And so it ended up being the three of us is like the music team for Entourage for the fourth season. And then during the fourth season, I think it was the writer's strike that happened.
Oh, yeah.
And the recession was going on. So all this stuff happened, and I didn't return for the fifth season. I think there were probably too many of us. And then I didn't want to go back for less money, and they were offering less money.
Yeah.
And because I was spending so much time being a music supervisor, I felt like I'm not going to feel good in my soul if I accept money. And, part of me was like, I should have. And the other part of me was like, no, you did the right thing. Like, you're good. You're fine.
Yeah.
Cause I had a career. Like I was in radio and I was DJing and I'm doing voiceover work and I'm doing shows. Like when I was doing Entourage and we had like small children we were raising, like I didn't sleep.
I bet.
I probably on average was getting like 2 hours of sleep a night. Like it was, I was gaining weight. Like, my health was like deteriorating. So I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know how much went into music supervision until I was upset, because you hear good music in shows, right? Like Grey's Anatomy, like they really flip the script, change the game as far as like where the songs it make or break people, right? And stuff like that. But then looking at shows that I love that were rare, people of color shows, then that's when I was like, all these shows I mentioned, they're all of color, Black and Indigenous. And I was just like, well, we got some music supervisors of color. And it's like, no, we don't. But then I looked up, I was like, I need to know more about Jen Malone, because she did Euphoria and Atlanta. I need to know who this person is. And then, her story's crazy too, but I was just like, she broke down the science and mathematics of her job. And I was like, nah, that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was more the consulting, let me pick these. And then, you do, but yeah, it's crazy. How are you doing on time?
Have your kids been in a house playing video games in your space way too long? Now you can get them outdoors and still be social while social distancing at the Skate Side after school and group skateboarding classes. Skate students get to improve their skating and decompress after a long day or week of school. This program is awesome for beginners to get started or advanced skaters to take their skills to the next level. Go to theskateside.com and learn about our COVID-safe programs in Santa Monica, Culver City, Glendale, and South Pasadena. That's THESKATESIDE.com. The Skate Side. More kids skating.
I'm good. Just to give like some context, right? Because I think you were pointing at something that I wanted to, get to before we ended the music supervision.
Sí.
The music supervision career, it's attached to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood, as we know, in terms of like, setting aside what's been happening for talent, for, artists and actors. Love the revolution that's going on, love the exposure. But when it comes to writers, directors, editors, producers on each level, like pre, during, and post, music supervisors, these are all, careers that require, a certain set of resources that someone needs to be exposed to early on in their life, in their formative college years, et cetera, to pursue those career paths. And those, when it comes to Hollywood, it's been reserved for mainly white people. My lady is a young producer at Fox. She is one of the only women of color in the entire company.
It's
and
2021.
She is dope. Like, as a person, as a Black woman, but also as a producer, she's dope. So she's an asset to the company. But we talk about this all the time because, it's difficult to navigate when you're one of the only people of color.
Yeah. One of the few. Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, I don't see much of me around here.
Yeah.
And you have to be acclimated to that. So that just goes back to resources, and that's a deeper conversation about life in America, life in the West.
See.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so that we could get to that later, but
that makes sense. No, for sure, because listening to her story, she was doing something else, and at an older age, she interned, but she had the resources to be able to intern and not get paid that late in life. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I have an episode with my homegirl, Linda Morale. She was Emmy Award-winning producer on Key and Peele. She's Latinx. She's a producer on the Black Lady Sketch Show. And we had this whole conversation, where, they were asking her, like, I want everyone Black on here. I want everyone behind the scenes. I want everyone Black. Well, there's an issue and a problem. She was saying that we need to cultivate this because, like you're saying, access, information, resources. There's like, she's making a point to let people of color know, like, there's a grip of jobs behind the scenes that, these white people know because someone in the business, like, oh, why don't you get on here? There's this and that and da-da-da-da-da. But Black and brown peeps, we don't know that. We don't have access. We're trying to survive. Like, it's made a certain way. So I get it. I'm hoping that it changes. I want to see.
It's happening. I mean,
there are slowly. Yeah.
Let me shout out one of my favorite people, but also a super dope music supervisor, Morgan Rhodes, who, used to be a PA of mine back in the day.
Dope.
She's just doing a bunch of cool stuff. She's got a great podcast with Oliver Wang. The Heat Rock podcast.
Yes.
Morgan has worked with some really dope directors and producers and done some super cool stuff. She's worked with Ava. You know what I mean? Like, she's in the mix. Also, one of my favorite soundtracks was the Love Jones movie and soundtrack.
Yeah.
And that was done by a woman of color named Pilar McCurry. She unfortunately passed away a while ago. She was actually an understudy of my mentor for music supervision, G. Mark Roswell. So it's happening, but it's slowly happening.
Slow.
And, I just, we just got to keep pushing it because it is about resources, but it's also about talking about it because it's like, you got to plant those seeds too. Like, hey, you could be a music supervisor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and
a lot
these
of
are the steps, and this is what you need to do.
We're in hustle mode. We're just not exposed to even the idea.
Yeah.
Like, I I could do that. Like, that is a job.
Yeah, totally. And I reached out to Twitter and I was just like, hey, where are the music supervisors of color? And then I believe someone tweeted Morgan's name and a couple of other people. And I was like, yes, I'd love to see that. And I believe out of the couple that I was sent, I believe they were Black women. And I was like, I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you're good on time, I want to get into the last two sections, questions and comments from the audience. Let's get into that. This is, what is the process of keeping your integrity when you are in a position that can be manipulated, influenced by monetary factors or entities that want to pay you? This is by Coach Lamar Betts. We did an episode, and it's called episode 52, Skating with a Curl. He's Black and he owns the skate side, and we talk about that experience.
Nice. I think I'm fairly sensitive to that. And that's one of the reasons why there were certain positions once I gained notoriety through radio and DJing, like, A&R positions or, music industry stuff that would have, garnered a nice salary or whatever, I just stayed away. Sometimes I beat myself up about that because I had kids. So it's like, I've had conversations on, both sides of where the pendulum swings with people that have completely opposite, different perspectives in terms of like what it means to, be integral, what the levels are, what it means to sell out, that at a certain point, the idea of selling out has to go away because you have a life that you need to live and, you need to make money and you have mouths to feed and all these things that come along with like the American dream and the hustle and so on and so forth. So I've heard all these perspectives. And for me, I just broke it down to the sort of simplicity of like, serve the child inside.
Yes.
If you ain't comfortable, if the kid is going to be looking at you like you're whack.
Looking at you sideways like, what?
Like, come on, man, what happened to you?
Yeah.
And so I didn't pursue those kinds of offers because I knew people and there were people in those positions that I knew. Some of them were fine with evolving and accepting certain mores and ideas and perspectives that I know 5, 10, 15 years prior, they would have disagreed with or they didn't jive with very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's because society, man, like, class and moving up that ladder. Like, it's like, well, what are my options right now? So I believed in myself enough to, as a creative person, number one, like I said earlier, I'm just not that corporate of a person. I was just like, I don't really want a desk job.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the same place every day. That's not me.
Yeah.
And the other thing was like, I don't want to have to like produce, A&R, sign, look after, accept, swallow, like dealing with like an artist that I might think is whack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember the Brown Sugar? With Sanaa Lathan and what's her brother's name?
Yeah, I can't
say Lorenz
see his
Tate.
face.
Not Lorenz Tate.
No.
It's the other talented, handsome brother. That's part of getting older, I guess. These names used to just flow off the tip of my tongue. Anyway, you remember the premise. Like, he was at that major label.
Yeah.
And, they went and signed the Dalmatian duo. And it was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I love hip hop and I got to go off on my own. So when that movie came out, I was like, that's why, like, I've never pursued that career path.
Yeah.
Because so to answer your question, like, what do I do about it? I can't really look back and say that I've ended up in too many of those positions or situations.
Nice.
I've always just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. I'll do my thing.
Yeah.
I'll do what and if that means not making as much money, whatever, it's fine. Like I was blessed enough to be in a position where I was hustling so hard. I was making enough money to take care of my family. I took care of, my ex when we started having kids. We had 3 kids kind of like stutter step, like 2 years apart from each other. And for the first decade of her being a mom, she didn't work because being a mom was work enough. And it was like I want our kids to have the advantages of being nurtured by this woman.
Yeah.
And she did the damn thing.
Nice.
She made her own baby food. Like she was in the mix.
Yeah.
Like she, when she saw an episode of Oprah where Oprah had on the Chicago faction of the Mocha Moms, and then like Mocha Moms started to sprout up in LA. So she joined up with the Mocha Moms. And it was just like the first 10 years, I didn't mind not sleeping. It was like, we doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We getting it done. So it was fine. And I was in a position, like I was like, all right, I'm DJing. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm moving. I'm sticking and moving. Like I'm making enough money to take care of us. And that was satisfactory,
Nice. And the fact that you stood your ground and you knew that outweighed the freedom, of you being in the right place inside outweighed maybe getting this money, right? Doing that on your own is big. But I think on another level, doing it when you have a family and still sticking to your guns, I think it speaks volumes. You know what I'm saying? I think it's like, oh, okay, you really knew it. You knew what you had to do, and it seems like.
But that goes back to the relationship with the child inside.
Yeah, you just knew that it would kill you. You would be making a bunch of money, providing for your family, but it would kill you. And what would that be if you were just a shell of yourself? What kind of father and what kind of partner would you be? And I think that's amazing. Okay, let's go to the next one. It's just a statement. It's from
shout out to Tay Diggs.
Tay Diggs. I saw his face and I was like, Tay Diggs.
You like that dude right there. I need to take some more ginkgo. Get back to my agenda.
Tay Diggs. I was like, I know his face. I know he was in. He's married to. His ex was the girl in whatchamacallit, in Rent. Okay, the next one. She just did a major statement. And she just says, "Chocolate City changed my life." That's my homegirl, Karen Hernandez. I know from the music industry, you might know her as well, but she just was like, "Chocolate City changed my life." So that's just a comment. Next one.
Thank you, Karen.
It's another comment and a little story. Another friend that I know from the music industry, she's like, "Why is he so amazing?" She's like, "Tell him the story. When Twitter was first a thing, I recall driving up over the hill and down Laurel Canyon, and it was like a 20-minute set that was amazing. So atmospheric. I felt like I was in a movie, and I tweeted something like, 'Holy shit,' at Garth Trinidad. What a set of music." And he replied, and I was really excited. That was Lisa Jenkins, also from the music industry. So that's that. Another one. Super curious to hear what he's been doing since he moved on. He's also a dope producer of music, so there's that. Our girl, Jessica Weber, owner and co-founder of Cosign. So she wants to know,
That's because me and her haven't caught up. We have to, Jess, we got to get on the phone.
I just saw her. She was out here. She owns a house out here. So I saw her. We had lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jealous because we were supposed to have lunch.
So if she comes back out, come out to the desert, man.
Do you hang out in PS?
I live in PS.
Oh, see, okay, all right. Look,
we could talk about that stuff after.
Okay. Anyway, no. Okay. Look, first of all, I've needed to take a breath to recalibrate. So I was, blessed enough to be in a financial position and, in a space where I took it upon myself to just like stop. So like I said, I mean, it's been almost a year and like I've done like two DJ gigs, but they were like private events. Like I'm not really, I'm not moving about the club scene. Like I'm just, and I'm gonna do some DJ stuff, but I'm moving out of like being identified as a DJ because I have other things that I want to do. So for me, it would be easy to continue to like just be on my DJ grind, but it's like, that's not where I want to be anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a visual artist. I want to get back into that. I bought a guitar. I want to learn how to play it. I have a book I want to write. I want to tell my story. I'm trying to figure out.
It.
I have elderly parents who, I want to be available to. I have, 3 teenage kids. 2 of them are, off on their own going to school. Like one's out of state, one's out of the country. I'm, finalizing this divorce.
Ayuda a tus hijos y estudiantes a llegar más lejos. Aprende más sobre la beca nacional Hacer de McDonald's. Desde 1985, McDonald's ha otorgado más de $33 millones en becas. Gánate una beca de hasta $100,000. McDonald's está dando $500,000 en becas este año. Puedes ganar una de 30 becas. Hoy día, es importante seguir adelante y hacer más. A ayudar a estudiantes hispanos a hacer más que las generaciones anteriores. Hacer más de lo que se creen capaz. Hacer más de lo que pensaban que era posible. Por sí mismos, por su gente, por su cultura, por un mejor futuro. Para más información sobre la beca nacional Hacer de McDonald's, visita mcdonalds.com/hacer. Aprende más. Your industry is loud and congested. How will you cut through the noise while maintaining brand integrity? Regardless of how talented and creative your core team is, nearly all businesses need some level of support in order to communicate their message. From brand identity and graphic design to experiential and digital, let the team at Ritzy Periwinkle help you speak your mind and translate rough thoughts into captivating action. Visit ritzyperiwinkle.com today to schedule a no-cost 30-minute consultation to discuss the best creative strategies for your business. That's ritzyperiwinkle.com. Ritzy Periwinkle. Let's build.
Looking at like what my career path is going to look like and what I want to do. So, I want to lean into like voiceover work because there's, it's fun and there's money to be made and there needs to be more people of color doing it. And so I've been, I've done voiceover work for years and years and years, but like acting, voice acting is the same thing. You have to be available and you have to hustle. You have to put yourself out there. I have to update my demos. I have to reach out to agencies and managers like, hey, I'm looking for new representation. So, that's a part of it. And there's a few other things happening, of course, but there's a lot on my plate.
Yeah.
But mainly what I want to do is just like reignite the flame.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Explore. Yes. Speaking of your voice, I wanted to make sure I asked, when did that come about? Did you always have a deep voice? Was it after puberty? Like, when did this Garth essence happen?
Yeah. By junior high, people were making fun of my voice. It was like, it was crazy. It couldn't decide what it wanted to be. So I sounded funny. You know what I mean? And then I think I was 17 and I was talking to an operator And she was like, "You sound so fine. Like, are you in LA? Could we go on a date?"
Oh.
Like, she was macking on me, man. And I'm like, oh, wow, like my voice is deepened. Like, it was the first time I really understood, like, oh yeah, all right. And so, you know, I basically stole my dad's voice. Like, I have my father's like Xerox copied voice.
Hilarious.
Like, if we were on the phone, it would be difficult. The only way you could tell us apart is by like the vocabulary we were using, like the phrase. You know, he uses more old school stuff than I do. You know, but yeah, it was after puberty, and then it just dropped. I was like, oh snap! Okay, I'm about to use my advantage. You know? So.
Amazing. Okay, the next one. I would ask what current musicians, in his opinion, are interrupting our hyper virtual reality. What artists are bringing us back to a visceral experience of music, and as an extension, feelings of love, empathy, and understanding. This is from my homegirl, past guest. She's an arts and culture consultant. If you don't know her, I don't know if you guys know each other. Yvonne Gallardo. If you don't know her, you should know her. She's amazing.
I don't recall if we've ever met, but I certainly know her name. Yeah. But I think we've met because her name sounds really familiar. That's a hell of a question.
Yeah. I love it.
I think there are numerous artists that are doing that. And I'm super happy about that because I feel like things move in cycles. Mm-hmm. And so much wonderful art, music, literature, etc., comes from hard times. And our generation, I think, is living in, I like to say, the most marvelous, interesting, difficult time in human history. You know, we are the generations that we've experienced a global paradigm shift because of technology that the world hasn't experienced since, I couldn't tell you, you know, maybe, I don't even know if the Industrial Revolution is as deep as the technological revolution. Like, this is setting us apart from prior generations, and to grow up in it, like our generation, we're like the bridging generation. Yeah. We remember chords on phones. We remember the birth of the cell phone. We remember the actual literal birth of the internet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, for the public space. Mind-boggling stuff. As far as artists, I'm moved. You know, I'm just a music lover, so I'm moved by a lot of artists. But and it's difficult to not have a list in front of me because I've really been, probably even on a subconscious level, detaching from listening to music as a DJ and a programmer, but just being a person who's listening to songs and getting back to loving a piece of music just for what it is. But I'm gonna say, like, off the top of my head, Moses Sumney.
Oh, love him.
You know, one of my favorite bands is Little Dragon. I feel like they are our generation's like Sade, just in their dynamic, like the woman in the three supporting male characters in the band, and how unique Yukimi's voice is, and the kind of music that they make and the kind of subject matter they cover and the lyrics and everything. It's just, when they first came out, I was like, these are my people right here. Them
doing a track together is just like, of course. I was just listening to it earlier today. I was like, of course, Moses and Little Dragon.
There's a lot of Charlotte Day Wilson, I think, has just a phenomenal out of Canada.
Love her.
But what Bad Not Good is doing for jazz, I put them in league with like what's happening in the sort of Leimert Park jazz community with Kamasi and all those guys. Who am I thinking of? Which is bringing me back to the conversation about visiting Palm Springs.
We definitely, after we stop, doing this, we definitely have to talk about the series that my homegirl put together at the Ace. and the kids that she's bringing from Leimert Park out here and have this. We have to talk about it.
That's exactly what I'm referencing.
Yeah. Mikey Maestro, I think is his name.
One
from
of them.
South Central.
There's this beautiful documentary that aired on KCET that's garnered all these awards that are about this young drummer. And what is his name? And he's the drummer in the series. He's on tour right now, but he's the drummer. It's like, and he invited me. So I told him, he said he'd be back in December. So we have to make a date of it. Like I have to come out there. It's Wednesday nights, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm saying his name. Maybe that's his handle but yeah, that's the dude. He is amazing. I have some video of it. He is fantastic. Next level. And then he brought up this other dude, and I'll get you his name. He was a saxophonist, a young black saxophonist. His parents were there watching him. And I was like, yes, it was like amazing to see these young, I think it was like the keyboardist, the homeboy on the drums, and the saxophone player, all black, young cats, like in their early 20s from like South LA with the residency over here. It was, I went solo. I was just like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is the new shit. This is it's like the old and the new shit. The resurgence.
Throwing concerts in the garage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that's just a couple of names. I mean, there are more, but I cannot pinpoint them at the moment. But yes.
Love that.
Yeah, man, just there's a lot happening there. I believe that there's been a renaissance happening in Los Angeles for a long time, like at least 15 years, if not more. And a lot of great stuff coming out of the West Coast, but just around the world, man, there's just and the energy is always going to come from the youth. You know what I mean?
Always,
and so
always.
The younger generations have access to information and to art in a way that we did not growing up. And you can see and tell how it's influencing them. And as they're going through their growing pains and they're watching the world burn and seeing how everything is going, they're being moved to create this wonderful art and this amazing music. So there's a bunch. But just off top, like Moses Little Dragon, Kamasi and the Leimert gang, like I just feel like they're making a wonderful impression. There's a lot of great hip hop, like underground stuff that's, coming out. And it's just like, it's marvelous. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. The last one of the comments and questions is, you've been a great inspiration to me over the years. Tell us about something or someone that has inspired your journey. A book, a film, a song, a figure, or someone that someone may be able to, draw inspiration from. That is from Word to Your Mama, episode 14, guest, the legend, DJ Mona Lisa Murray.
Mona Lisa is one of my favorite people on the planet. Always has been. That's my sister right there. I've had a lot of inspiration. It's one of the reasons why I want to write this book and tell my story. I don't know why I immediately went to, some figures that have, passed on, but like Prince was a huge inspiration. Melvin Van Peebles was a huge inspiration to me. I have like a handful of visual artists that were really critical to my sort of visual thinking. Mode 2 is a graffiti artist out of, I think Mode 2 is French. But I remember discovering his work. He was part of a crew called the Chrome Angels that did like just some incredible graffiti pieces back like in the 80s and the 90s. On the West Coast, it was like Hex and Slick. Remember the graffiti battle that they televised? Hex, when he opened up the hip hop shop, and this is one of the things that me and Rocka bonded over in the beginning, was the hip hop shop, because Rocka used to kick it over there and rap and stuff. And I used to, when I was in the Valley, I would come back like as much as I could just to like go see what new mural Hex did on the wall. And so he was a huge inspiration. Dali was a huge inspiration, Salvador Dali. Gustav Klimt, Egon Schiele were huge visual inspirations to me. Robert Williams was like one of my biggest visual inspirations with his kind of like, his pop surrealism, I guess, is like the genre. So all that kind of stuff was a huge inspiration. Musically, I grew up as a child of like hip hop in LA. So, Julio G, Tony G, the original K-Day, like that whole Battle Cat, that whole movement was, Uncle Jam's Army, like all of that. Ice-T is one of my biggest musical inspirations. I was, one of his biggest fans as a kid. I think so much so that it led me to run into him inadvertently. My dad was running errands and we were at the West Side Pavilion. And I saw Darlene. Remember his girlfriend, Darlene, his wife?
Yeah, we all remember her on the cover. Right. Yeah.
So you remember how fine Darlene, Darlene is just a phenomenally beautiful woman.
She still looks the same, by the way. She's still as gorgeous as ever.
She'd be doing them aerobics. She's an aerobics queen. So I'm like, my dad he's in some store and I'm, the brooding teenage boy with my Raiders sweatshirt on, standing outside, on the little balcony or whatever, looking, just people watching. I see this woman walk into this shoe store. I'm like, oh my God, like this is, and I'm like probably a couple 100 feet away, So I'm really leaning in like, ooh, like, damn, she's fine. And I just like shift my gaze, like, not even like a quarter inch, and Ice-T is standing there staring at me. Like, why are you looking at my woman? He's got the whole gangster thing going on. It was funny because it was just him and her, like no entourage or nothing.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh my God, that's Ice-T. And I'm probably like, I don't know, like 13 or 14 at the time. So I was big enough for him to stare at, you know what I mean? Like, he's like a young man looking at my girl. And he was mad dogging me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm staring at Darlene. So I run over to the shoe store and Ice had gone in and he's just kind of kicking it on the couch. I'm like, Ice, I'm just one of your biggest fans, man. Like, is it cool if I get an autograph? He's like, I don't have none. I'm like, here, son, I got a $5 bill. So I still have that. Still had that.
That's amazing.
I think I'm framing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But all those cats, man. Like, come on, man. Like when NWA dropped, I was like, wow, it just just mind-boggling. The whole West Coast movement, I was just like, wow. But I loved all hip hop at the time, so I'd say hip hop in general is an inspiration, and that led me to discover jazz and funk, like for real.
Yeah.
Not just it's that we knew about, but like, where are these samples coming from? Like, okay. So there's an army of inspiration, you know what I mean? But I think specifically those things visually, Ice-T growing, I memorized his rhymes, you know what I mean? Like I dissected so he was a huge inspiration for me musically. Tom Tom Club song, that's a huge inspiration, you know what I mean? So, but there's more. I have to empty out my brain, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll all be in your book. We'll see. Okay, let's get into the not so rapid fire questions, the AKA slow as hell questions. First one, 3 words to describe yourself.
Thoughtful. my lady says that I'm kind.
Mm.
And I hadn't thought of myself in that way.
Love that.
And creative, man. I mean, I'll never get away from that.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome. Yeah. Those are great words to describe yourself. Okay. The next one. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? Señor Trinidad.
What is the best piece of advice I've received? It's cool if I take a minute, right? Because
of course.
Damn. I'm gonna say, because I've gotten some great guidance over the years from parents, peers, extended family, but going back to like the influence that hip hop had on me, one of the things that I carry in my heart is just the idea that it's that sugar-free line. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, which is, that wasn't a new concept. You could probably find it in the Bible. Like,
yeah.
A lot of those phrases come from the scriptures or whatever. So, but when he spit it that way, I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it. It makes sense. And then I forget the name of the film. It's like an action movie or whatever. And there's a Latin phrase that translates to victory favors the prepared, which is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I've tried to keep that in mind and heart, and also pass that on to like my kids.
Yeah.
Like, stay ready.
Yeah.
Stay ready.
Stay
ready. You'll be cool. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be good.
Yeah. That's great.
Opportunity never pass you by because you weren't ill prepared or not ready, or, and that's part of mindfulness and all.
Yeah. Major.
So okay. Yeah, it was a rap lyric that did it for me. Shout to Sugar Free.
Next one. Speaking of music, what's the song, your go-to song to get you hyped when you need it? Now, most people have issues with this because there's different songs for different situations. So if there's multiple, give me two. Give me two.
Damn. Really, this is so difficult. Because it changes, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Let me see. I mean, like, there's different levels of hype. You know what I mean? Like, like you mean like songs that make you, like, when they come on, they just make you happy, or like
could be that, or like say like maybe, I don't know if you get nervous, but like say there's a big event, or like say you're like, concept phase, or you're about to do something you never done and you need that little extra pump, or like different, there's just different types of situations where you need to get hyped.
All right, I'm gonna just throw a few at you because I think there's just levels to this. Like,
yes,
is like something that just sparks that joy. Like as soon the first couple of, like, I'm still the kind of cat that'll like jump in the whip and switch radio stations. Even though most radio is like, especially mainstream radio, it's hard, but I know that at some point, one of these stations is going to play a song that I love.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Rufus and Shaka Khan, Ain't Nobody.
Okay.
Anytime that comes on, it's a rap. I'm going to say Robin S., Show Me Love. I'm going to say Al Green, Let's Stay Together. I'm going to say Sade, Sweetest Taboo. I'm going to say, like, Public Enemy, Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Yes.
I'm gonna say, Razzcaz waterproof, H2O proof.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. But
I love it. I love it. I could see the different situations that those would be called for.
Not just knee deep. You know what I mean? Like P-Funk. I mean, like those are the joints. Like they come on, I'm turning them up. Like it's done.
Love it. Love it. Also, when we did our 1-year anniversary, I made a playlist of every guest hype songs, and it's a Spotify playlist. So I put it on every episode now, and it runs the gamut. It's amazing because you need different hype songs for different situations, right? So you would think it's only going to be one genre on that playlist. No, my friend. No, senor. It is all over the place, and it's a wonderful listen. So I'm going to add all those to that playlist. It's going to be fantastic.
Eddie Harris and compared to what? You know that joint, right? Harris McCann.
No, I'm going to have to look it up. I'm excited. When people drop something that I'm not familiar with, it's exciting to look it up to add it, because then I get introduced to something new. Or maybe sometimes I know it, but I don't know who the artist and the title. Yeah. Sometimes that happens.
You hear it, you be like, okay, yeah, I know.
Mona Lisa had one of those when she was on. She's like, you know it. She's like, you've heard it. And then when I went to, I was like, oh yeah. Because she was talking about when she plays it. And I was like, oh yeah, totally. So I'm excited to add those. Thank you so much. Last question. What will be your legacy?
Ooh. I think human beings in general, especially in this era, we're like, I'm reading Eckhart Tolle, right? And there's a couple of books that a friend of mine sent me during the pandemic of his that I'm reading. And, Eckhart Tolle delves into, he's one of the people that does this, but I appreciate him, his introduction with these books. But he gets into the whole construct of how like ego runs us. And we are living in an era where we have been like convinced that we are the ego, like we are the incessant thoughts, that little voice. And really what we are, you could say above or below that, we are the conscious observers of those thoughts, of that voice, which is why we're able to transcend, which is like, where you get into like meditation and prayer and all those things. Like we ultimately have control over that voice. The voice does not have control over us. So I say that to say that like life is precious and it's fleeting, and I'm getting away from things that are like superfluous. And I'm becoming a person. I want to become a person. My aim, my goal is to become a person that is detached, so that the egoic mind and the egotistical things of life do not affect me the way that they have. And so if I have a legacy, my legacy has already become me watching what my children are doing. I could die right now and be cool because of who they are now. Not even like what they become.
Who they are.
I have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and my son just turned 15.
Wow.
I'm like, I did what I came to do.
It's a beautiful
and
thing.
Therein, I think, lies my legacy. It's not in radio. It's not in DJing. It's not in art. Like, I could go on to like do things and achieve things in any of those realms or worlds or whatever, and be like, hey, this is my legacy. But that, to me, to my heart and soul, deep down in my spirit, that ain't it.
Yeah.
We had these kids, and my drive became not like to just take care of them or whatever. It was like, I have to like instill in them a set of values. I have to like, attempt to get them to be critical thinkers and to give a damn about life, about themselves, about other people, to be the light in the world. as much as I can. And I think that my ex and I have been able to do that. So my legacy is probably in my fatherhood, man. Like,
Yes.
you know, so that's my hope. That's what I'm going to say right now.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, man. I love that. And I think that's a perfect way to end this special time with you, Señor Trinidad. I appreciate you. You know, I love seeing your face. I'm excited to catch up right now if you have time after this, you know, not on the recording. And I want to see you, you know, when it's safe and we feel safe. And, you know, I think this is crazy exciting time for you. I feel it in my bones that you're going to be good and that your legacy is your children, but also you've brought so much joy in the world, giving us so much of yourself, sharing part of your creativity. And I appreciate you. I think a lot of us do, but I'm excited to see where you're going to go from here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not over. It's just a new chapter. So, muchísimas gracias, Garth. I appreciate you. And I'm excited to, you know, hopefully in the safe future, break some bread.
I got you, Ritzy P. I'm going to see you in December. If we can hook up in Palm Springs, do that.
That'll be dope.
Concert at the Ace. That'd be super fly.
Yeah. Outdoors, safe, under the stars, on indigenous land. Come on.
Hey, I'm grateful that you thought of me for your podcast. I'm really happy to reconnect with you in this way. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
For this and for making your voice heard and bringing on people that you love and respect and regard. Like I that's phenomenal. So I appreciate being a part of that.
Gracias. And now introducing
The Supernatural Bear Corner. Supernatural Bear. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Supernatural Bear Corner. Now, I have something to say for you. For some of the people who go on the show, before the show, I have absolutely no idea who they are, actually. I've never heard of them in my life. And for this amazing man, Trinidad, DJ Garth Trinidad, I thought at first he had 3 dads because it said Trinidad, and usually Trina means like 3, bro. And it was a Trinidad, and that was funny. But anyway, DJ Garth Trinidad, if you are listening, I hope you had a great time on the show. And for everyone else, this has been the SMB signing off.
Shibidoo. Yeah. There it is, folks. Episode 56, however, I was going to say 65. Episode 56 of Word to Your Mama with the amazing Garth Trinidad, a.k.a. Señor Trinidad. I'm excited to see what happens. We had an amazing time post-recording, catching up on the next level, and I definitely hope to see him when it is safe so we could break bread. As always, you can find all the episode links, the links that were mentioned in this episode, either on the episode page or in any app that you're listening to this web episode right now. There'll be links, clickable links, such as the movie we talked about, The Keep It in Time by the Mochila Crew. Also, some songs that we discussed, some episodes that were discussed. And as always, from now on, you can definitely find the Word to Your Mama guest hype song playlist link that is on Spotify. All those will be included in every show note from this point forward. So all the amazing songs that he mentioned boom, they've been added. So starting from episode 1 to now, they're all included. Also, we talked about Michaela's session. I was saying Mikey Maestro because that's his handle on Instagram. So that's definitely who he was talking about. And I was talking about that was doing the residency at the ACE. Shout out to Charlie, Jane, who booked that. And, of course, his father was part of the Pan-African People's Orchestra. So he grew up in it, and then now he's actually leading it. It's an amazing thing. He's one of the many kids that I feel benefited from their parents really exposing them to the music at a very young age, and maybe in their own way explaining the history of the music so that these kids and these younger generations, these young men and women can take what they know and take it to the next level. So it's very exciting to see. I love, seeing it live is incredible. So if you guys ever get a chance, please go see this amazingness live. And the Supernatural Bear just laying it down in the Supernatural Bear corner, giving us his first impressions of his name. And yes, thanks for the support. We have a couple of more episodes to close out the year before we take a little break. But we'll be, of course, re-releasing or re-dropping, if you will, classic episodes that we've had from some amazing guests that are part of my tribe since the beginning of 2020, of the end of 2020. So the beginning of this situation here. So we have coming up next, I believe we're going to have Yvonne Gallardo. We're going to have a solo episode with her. We're going to have the last relatives episode of the year. And then the final episode of the year will be a little bonus episode with just the Supernatural Bear and I reading some of the reviews that we've gotten so far and some recent donations and all that stuff. So thank you so much for the support. You know where to go. You could shop, you become a patron, you could donate directly. And something you could do that's free is tell your peeps, tell your folks, and tell your friends. And as always, we reap. Word to Your Mama is owned and produced by Ritzy P. Intro beat produced by Nico Beats. If you want to know more, you want to email us, you want to get the media kit, go head over to wordtoyourmama.com. Word to Your Mama is now part of the Latina Podcasters Network. And as always, Word to Your Mama is brought to you by RitzBarrowinkle.com.